Tommy, it's not every day that a new Mercedes-Benz E-Class is born, especially not one that is a turbo, a plug-in hybrid, and an AMG, and yet here we are.
That's right, we're checking out the new Mercedes AMG E53 4MATIC hybrid sedan. I think I got all the words on the title of this video in there. But in this video, we're going to take you all around this new generation of E-Class and talk about what makes this new E53 special, because the powertrain is pretty crazy.
And guess what, Tommy? I'm not going to tell you, but the MSRP on this one is $113,000, and you're going to have to guess how much of that is features and extras.
Yeah, the options list on this one is crazy. Now, starting off with the powertrain, you want to pop the hood?
Well, first, look at this. Of course, it has retractable door handles. Of course it does. Every car now has to have them. But let me pop the hood. And as you recall, Tommy, a few years ago, Mercedes came out with a straight six mild hybrid in their E-Class. But now we have gone full-on plug-in hybrid with about 21 kilowatt-hour battery. And how much range?
About 42 miles. So the powertrain in this car is crazy advanced. So it starts with this 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine, and when combined with that 21.2 kilowatt-hour battery, the total system output is 577 horsepower, 533 pound-feet of torque, but it does have an overboost mode up to 604 when you use a race start. But the crazy part is, we're talking not a little bit more power than the old generation E-Class, we're talking well over 100 extra horsepower in the E53.
Now, I like the look of this new E-Class. I think Mercedes has gotten some of its design mojo back. Before, the cars had gotten a little too, dare I say, bulbous. This one is still a little roundy, roly-poly, but now there is a little bit of attitude that has been added to the design language.
Yeah, and the E53 has some more attitude, including these optional wheels, these optional AMG 21-inch wheels, which are over $3,000. But look at the rear tire size, 295/30. Absolute steamrollers of tires out back there, and it is a very staggered setup. So compared in the front here, we got a 265/35 ZR21, but in the front end here, I think you're right, they made it a little bit more angular. We've got the new headlight design on the new generation E-Class. We do have AMG badging up here in the front, and it looks absolutely phenomenal in this nautical blue color, especially with the darked out chrome. It's a pretty overall mild chrome package on this car. We do have the little vents along the side here, turbo hybrid badging, and then you want to show them the coolest part about this car. It has dual flaps, right? One for fuel and one for electricity.
Yeah, I wonder why they decided to put the electric one over here on the driver's side. So of course this is where you plug it in.
Well, I know that's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah.
In Germany,
Yes.
I do believe it's law that you have to have your fuel filler on the right side. So if you run out of gasoline, you're not standing in traffic when you fuel up. But of course, with electricity, not so much a problem. This is also an interesting feature too. So we've got our AC charging. I believe it's an 11 kilowatt onboard AC charger, but it also has DC charging up to 60 kilowatts. So it's a plug-in hybrid with DC fast charging. So it goes 10 to 80% in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but it is 2025 and it's still CCS, and everybody's going to the Tesla standard.
That's true.
So let's see how much rear trunk room there is. It's deep. It's deep going into the car. It's not deep this way. I believe this is probably where the battery lives. That would be my guess.
Exactly right. It lives underneath that floor. Here's the included EVSC. Let's see what it looks like. So one thing I do appreciate about Mercedes is they do give you both the 110 outlet as well as your 240 volt outlet there, which is pretty nice. I think that's awesome. It's kind of unusual seeing an actual full-on sedan in 2025. Vehicles like the Model S, of course, look like a sedan, but they're a hatch. But Mercedes is sticking with the tried and true E-Class formula here.
I love these quad tailpipes, Tommy, especially with the AMG on top of them. They just look hidden and yet very much purposeful. You know, like this is a serious, fast machine.
That's right. And we also have the red badging along the E53, which is kind of a nice subtle hint of what's under the hood.
I'm going to sit behind myself and see how much room there is in the back. Now, of course, you know that the E-Class has always been Mercedes' bread and butter, right? This is kind of the typical taxi cab when you go to Germany. Of course, not the AMG, but you know, it's not bad back here. I love this white stitched, interestingly perforated leather. I also have my own sunroof back here. I also have my own climate zone, and obviously, this being an AMG, it's very sporty in that very much way the Germans know how to make a car both luxurious and athletic.
All right, let's go to the front seat. This is a really cool interior finish. This Neva finish, I believe it's called. This is the door handles, there we go. Pop that out there.
Yeah, don't love that.
So two-tone finish here with the AMG stitching in the backrest, and it is really fantastic the way that this white and the black finish. Fairly aggressive seat, but it's not as hardcore as some other sports sedans, which I think I like quite a bit. And then on the inside, you're dominated by carbon fiber. Do you have that window sticker on you, Dad?
I do have the window sticker on me.
I think it's time we take a look at some of the options here.
You want to see how much there's in options? All right, I'll spill the beans, dude. It's $25,000 in options.
Holy cow! So the base price, you can see $88,000. Total retail after the $1,100 destination is $113,000. But you can see the AMG carbon fiber center console and carbon fiber trim is nearly $4,000 for both of those combined, along with the Neva gray black app interior. Can you turn the volume down,
Yeah,
please?
I can't. I'm trying to figure out where that is.
Well, it's right here.
Thank
so
you.
Mercedes is full sliders now.
I don't love that either, Tommy. I'm not a big fan of haptic controls. I do like the fact that they did get rid of the hyper screen, and so you have a human-sized screen here instead of one for the passenger, which I kind of find silly and just too much screen in the car.
And I do believe this is a 14 and a bit inch screen. Very user-friendly. I know the Mercedes system is either one you really like or really dislike, but I find it always to be quite simple, especially with this app-based system where you kind of go in between the different shortcuts there. I always thought that was really great. You've got your climate menus that you can pop up there, all sorts of functionality. And then, of course, like many, many other Mercedes, you have your seat controls on the door with heat and ventilation and 3-position memory.
Now over here you've got all kinds of controls on your steering wheel. Once again, haptic controls, cruise control over here. I found the volume over here as well. And then over here you have like your mode selectors, so comfort, sport, sport plus. Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, you got that augmented sound.
Yeah. Or you can go, of course, to electric. Let's put it in sport. How do you want to drive it, comfort or sport?
Well, let's go start in comfort, and then we can go to sport. And you can see that there are individual different settings for suspension, drive, as well as the AMG Dynamic. So you've got Pro, you've got Sport, you've got Dynamic, you've got Comfort, all of that located there.
And they're also mirrored right there on the steering wheel. So if you don't want to go into the screen, you can change the suspension settings on the steering wheel. Overall, I mean, I do love this very fat steering wheel, which is one of my favorites. I love the fact that you've got these real, I think these are real metal paddle shifters as opposed to being, you know, plastic. And in general, let me open up the sunroof once again. This is a haptic control. There it goes.
Slide. It's actually a dual open sunroof, so you got one in, I think you're overcomplicating it. If you just slide it back. So you got one in the rear and one in the front there. And then that gives you quite a bit more light on the inside. And then I think if you push in, yep, sure enough, you can actually vent it as well, which is really, really nice.
And then, wahoo, look at this, real controls for the vents, not hidden somewhere in the screen, which is really nice. Mercedes always does over-engineer their cup holders. Same is true now.
Yep, and you can turn this into either a cubby, or you can push in and convert that into a cup holder. You got your wireless charger tray, and then if you don't want to see any of it, you can seal that up in carbon fiber.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting blend of technology and old school engineering.
And this is a cool thing that Mercedes does too. There's a shortcut down here for your charging information. And you can actually see, based on the state of charge, how fast it'll DC charge. So we're sitting at 83% battery, and it'll accept 20 kilowatts right now if we were to plug it in. I always thought that was really cool. You have some route planning as well, which is, of course, a lot less important when you have a gasoline engine to back it up.
Or do you say route?
Route, sure, we'll go with route.
Sorry, I had to give you a little bit of crap there. Huge heads-up display, Tommy, which you, of course, can see, but it just floats right above. There you go. If you can see it, it just floats right above the steering wheel. And I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, because you know what happens when you assume, that if you do navigation, it'll do that thing where it shows you the arrows over the hood so you know exactly which way to go, which I think is also a very nice and nifty touch. Now, this is 4MATIC, so we do have all-wheel drive.
Yep, for sure.
Which is good for the winter. I would definitely take those summer tires off for the winter, but if you want to have a little bit of fun, that would certainly be one way of accomplishing it by keeping them on now. I think you're going to spend a lot of money on tires in this car.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very heavy car, and it's got some stuff to kind of make it feel more nimble. Like it's got standard four-wheel steering, which is great. We also have a 9-speed automatic transmission in this Mercedes. So you're going to Go to sport mode there.
Yeah, just gonna give it a little bit of squirt of electricity and gasoline and see what happens. Here we go. Really don't have a really good place to open it up here in this first drive, but we'll just floor it. Oh, it's quick, Tommy.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Really
yeah,
quick.
It's quick.
And you get this really interesting interaction between the gasoline engine and the electric drive unit, where the electric drive unit fills in the torque drop when the transmission shifts. So you get kind of this constant, almost EV experience of a constant acceleration curve, but then you get a little bit of growl out of that inline six. Now, it still is a very quiet engine, but you do get at least a little bit of personality, which you're kind of missing in some full electrics.
And you know what? This has a really good ride. It's got that interesting blend of sporty and yet supple driving characteristics where you feel like you know what the wheels are doing and you feel like you're going over, some pretty rough road here, but it's not intruding into the cabin, so you don't feel like this is, a base Mercedes. You really have a sense that Mercedes has sorted the suspension to make it both sporty and luxurious, which is very hard to do when you think about it.
No, it's excellent. And it also changes quite dramatically when you actually change your comfort settings. So if we go to electric, right, it's going to get very quiet, and that's going to put us in the softest suspension, and this is going to be now a great commuter. I'm curious, what is B? Battery hold. Okay, so if you want to save your battery for later and run primarily on gasoline, you've got individual, and then there's also a snow mode there, which is pretty cool.
Put it back in E. I'm going to accelerate and see if it'll actually, if I floor it, it'll bring in the gas engine, which I'm guessing it will.
Okay.
But will it hold all electric, or will we get the gas engine when you want all the beans? So here we go, all the beans. Oh yeah, you get gas.
But is there a button?
Oh my God, that is quick, dude.
Is there a button on the floor, or is it a progressive pedal? How does it work on this? I can't remember how Mercedes does it.
I don't know if there's a button that if you push through, it feels like there might be a button. Yep, there is a button. There is that kind of that push through where it says, okay, give me all of it.
Yep.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, what's it like if you don't push the button?
That's what it's like when you don't push the button. It's pretty quick too. Here, I'll do it again. I won't push it. I won't push it all the way through.
Try to just stay in the electric.
Yeah, all right. I'll just try to stay in electric.
There you go. That's still electric. Okay, so pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
It's definitely enough to commute in. That was pretty decent acceleration.
Yeah, and 40 plus miles of range. That's not bad. I mean, you could potentially own this car and never ever hear those those straight six cylinders come to life, right? If you just go to work, plug it in at home, and never fill it up at the gas station.
There you go.
I wonder if people actually do that. If you do that, let me know in the comments below, because everybody says that's something you can do, and yet I'm not sure people actually in the real world manage to accomplish that.
You mean just run on electricity only?
Yeah,
exactly. I think a lot of people do, because people buy their car thinking they're going to need more than 40 miles on a regular basis. But if you have a place to plug it in at home, and even on like a 110 outlet with a 21.2 kilowatt hour battery, that's probably small enough where you could charge it off of a standard plug and get your commuting back every day.
Yeah, so what does this compete with, Tommy? That would be a good question we can answer.
Well, E-Class, of course, competes with the 5 Series, right?
Yes.
And when you get into the AMG products, this is not a full-blown M5 competitor, but certainly like some of the M Sport products are going to be along this lines. I mean, I would argue if you're looking at a hybrid powertrain like this, there's a lot of EVs that you might cross shop, like the Lucid Gravity or the Tesla Model S.
Well, it's funny. The Germans have now definitely gone, deep into the plug-in hybrids. There's a new M5, which is a plug-in hybrid. Audi, does Audi do a plug-in hybrid? I don't think Audi does. I think this would be kind of an S5 competitor.
Well, I mean, Audi was doing something interesting with their A6, S6 line, right?
Yeah.
Where they're pushing a new design language, new powertrains. That's kind of a different, they're going pretty bold with those. But certainly like 5 Series still is in this realm. And then, like I said, the EVs like Air, Lucid Air, and Tesla Model S.
Oh, yeah, except that Tesla Model S would, I think today would be cheaper than this at a 113.
Sure.
It's gotten up there. Maybe Plaid is up there.
For sure, yeah. But it's a really cool package. I think it's pretty pricey for what you get, and it doesn't have the character of the bi-turbo V8 that we've seen in other Mercedes products in the past. But it's a much more usable and far more efficient setup, which I think most folks are going to like a lot on their daily commute.
So maybe the play is at 88,000, I like it a lot. At 113, not so much. So if you can live without all of the, the jewelry, let's say.
Soft closed doors.
And the chrome. It does also have standard all-wheel steering, which is great.
Yep.
What else is standard? Do you remember?
There's a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
This one, I believe, is like the, here, I'll show you on the Monroney. I don't want to get it wrong, but there's like 3 different trim levels. And this one is the Pinnacle trim.
Yeah, so this is the top
Which is the
line.
$4,000.
Let me see the soft closed doors. Yep, soft closed door.
Yeah, it's got that night package, which you're talking about with the chrome delete on it. It's got dash cam in it as well. It's got the first aid kit for $35. So if you get rid of some of those options, you can certainly bring it down more affordable.
But yeah, I just love the look of the car. I think, like I said at the beginning of this first drive, it really has become more sculpted. You know, it's got more aggressive eyes, i.e. headlights. I do love this giant Mercedes star on the front of it. I mean, if you're going to get a Mercedes, why not let the world know, even though I think the world will know. And all in all, I like this car a lot, Tommy. Like I say, I think the play here is get the base model, skip some of the chrome. I'm not chrome, I mean skip some of the carbon fiber. That's a good question. Is carbon fiber the new chrome?
I kind of, yeah.
I think
you're
it
right.
is, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
That's a good observation.
Yeah.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below of our first look at the new E53. This just in. And we'll see you in the next video.
Ciao.